Hello, Folkers. I'm Copper Kelly.
And I'm Jodie Lucas, and you're welcome to the Folkin Around podcast,
Your favourite country music podcast. And Joe, tell the lovely listeners, who are we talking to this week?
Well, this week, everyone will be very pleased to know that we're finally releasing our episode with the incredible Mr. Gary Gamble.
Yeah, it was a great interview. You're in for a great show. What kind of things did we mention in the podcast?
Oh, what didn't we mention? We talked about all different areas that he works in, his journey to where he is today, and just lots of interesting things that even me, who thought I knew quite a bit about him, definitely there's loads to learn about him. And I think we probably could have done a whole series on just him, to be fair. He had so many stories.
I think it's a long enough interview as well, so it goes on a bit, but it's worth it, especially towards the end. He gives us a shockingly good ghost story. Well, to say no more, you have to listen to the end of the episode to hear that. But for now, I suppose, enjoy the episode and we'll talk to you again after the interview. See you.
Cool. So I'm really, really excited to introduce our most requested guest ever. I mean, we haven't been going that long, but the amount of requests we've had has been insane. So please welcome Mr. Gary Gamble. Thank you for being here, Gary.
Thank you very much. I'm just looking in the background here. Copper and Jodie, I'm just hoping this tree doesn't blow down.
Oh, I know. It's lovely. I mean, you're obviously doing well for yourself to be living out there on that beach.
Mm. Oh, private jet out this morning. Just
you have a nice cocktail out of sight there, is it?
Cocktail's just sitting here with my foot in the sand.
COVID friendly, obviously.
Of course.
So Gary, those few people that might not know who you are, why don't you give yourself a little bit of an introduction so people know who they're listening to on the audio and who they're seeing on YouTube?
Well, I'm an entertainer, singer, comedian, stroke jack of all trades from the northwest of Ireland, Donegal and Tyrone area. And I've been singing with the my own live band for maybe 12, 15 years. I work in theatre, musicals, pantomime, my own comedy show. I presented TV and radio, and I also have a production company which makes music videos and advertisements for radio.
Wow,
busy man!
It's quite the CV there, isn't it?
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, there's probably more to that as well, but sure, that's all for now.
And let's go back to the beginning. Where did it all begin? Like young Gary, what was young Gary like in Gary's dreams?
Believe it or not, I wanted always to be a pilot, but there was always a comical side to me. So I don't think I would have been too good as a pilot. I would have probably wanted to scare the shite out of the passengers.
Yeah, well, you'd be on the intercom.
You'd been good at the tannoys, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No, I probably would have been joking with the tannoys. Yeah, saying, if the flight was for New York, I probably would have said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. In a few moments, we'll be landing in Iceland." Silly things like that. But no, I just always said to myself, I just probably wasn't serious enough for it. And then I wanted to be an undertaker, but then I probably thought I would probably get the sack for laughing. So I says, what should I do? And I was impersonating
Dreams of it, that it's just like nothing goes with it. Although somebody once told me I'd make a good undertaker, and I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not.
Well, that's why I'm wearing black today, see.
Well, the Undertakers have a good dark kind of humour, so maybe you could suit it. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I know dead bodies, nothing like that would scare me, nor blood, nor nothing. A lot of people would faint and stuff. Yeah. But recently I just cut the top of my finger and I showed my mum, and she nearly fainted. She turned white, and I was like, I just stuck it back on, went to the hospital, and they sewed it back on.
Oh, so, right.
Wow.
I know some people have it and some people don't. But I impersonated. I used to work in a bar then for a short time, and in the bar, the manager used to say, "Gary, up for a song. Gary, up for a song." So I was known as the singing barman for a short term, and then when I got up to sing, it was just a laugh a minute and slagging and carrying on and jokes, and that's where the Daniel O'Donnell tribute and impersonation stem from, really. You know, I used to pretend I was Daniel on the stage going, "Hello, everybody. How you's all doing? It's great to be here. I'm going to sing you a song." And that just kind of opened doors for different things then, you know, so it kind of stemmed from all around there.
Yeah.
So growing up, was you quite a musical person? Did you, were you one of these that went off to the jives or things like that?
No, believe it or not, I was disco mad and party mad. My mum and dad would have always played country music in the car and maybe at home. So I was always surrounded by that, like the likes of Frank McCaffrey, Roland Daniels, and Susan McCann, Louise Morrissey, Philomena Begley. Never knew them. Jimmy Buckley as well. And then growing up, I just said to myself, God, these songs were just coming natural. And when I went to sing with a live band, I just knew the songs and my head, and I didn't even know what they're called, but I knew the words, and I was just singing them with the band. And they're like, "Hey, do you want to do a wee gig with us some night?" That was kind of where it came from then, the country music. But because it was mad, because I could have been listening to dance music, but then I'd been singing country music, and people were like going, "He doesn't suit country." And I was like, when I was in a nightclub and country people seen me, they're like, "He doesn't suit the nightclub." So what do you do?
So you kind of
But is it
fell
easier
into
to
it
kind
in
of
a
put
way.
on that?
I fell into it, competence, so that.
That's it.
Is it easier to sort of put on that bit of an act than be yourself sometimes?
Yeah, I don't know. I just be myself and just go with it. Obviously, when I'm impersonating, I put on a wee bit of an act. You know, once the wig goes on, or the makeup, or the costume, or some kind of thing, you turn into the character, obviously. So
Yeah. Is that if you've got a favourite character that you do? Because you have a few now. I'm a big fan of Magella, to be fair.
Everybody loves her. This is I seen this character in my head, and she just rambles on and rambles and talks and talks and talks. And, you know, deep inside it, if I was a woman, I probably would have been like this if I was in my 60s. But she's a character from the comedy show, which everyone loves. And she just rambles on like a rant.
Yeah.
"Hello, how you doing? I'm not well. I was in the doctor's yesterday, and I had to tell the doctor there's something wrong with me. And he checked down below, he checked inside, outside, everywhere. And he went to the doctor. It just keeps
She's
going
a
on and
proper
on.
Irish granny, isn't she? She reminds me,
Yeah.
God bless her,
I
me
think
now
we
and
all
things.
know
That's just
someone
what
like
they
that.
do.
Yeah.
I know this year. I think that's why people relate to her, because they know someone, you know. If you go to the corner shop, you might meet someone. "How you doing? I'm not well. I was down the doctor's yesterday." Says, "No."
You're trying to get away from him. It's like, okay, Grant, don't tell me your life story.
Oh, get me out of here.
But then you miss them if you don't see them as well. There's always that sort of thing that you think, oh God, not them again. And then when they're not there, you're like, oh, God,
That's
missed
true.
having the crack with them.
Yeah.
Oh, just a real character. Like, but yeah, she seems to be so popular. And it's silly. Like, you know, there's different characters on the show that I portray as well. A girl called Barbara, and a few other ones, and like she just seemed to top it all.
And do you get called those names, or do people tend to refer to you as Gary, or are they like, oh, do the voice, do this?
No, sometimes Magella there be called now an odd time, but at the comedy show is called Sorry for Your Loss, and at the end of the show we all go out, you know, and meet everybody. And when I come out as one of the characters, Barbara, they're like, "Oh, we wanted to meet Magella." So
still me.
when I go out as Magella, they're like, "Oh, we wanted to meet Barbara." So,
And do you ever find
just like, give me 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I know.
And do you ever find that you have so many characters and you're playing the characters so much on stage that, say if you're going through everyday life, you know, you're going into the shop or whatever, do you ever find yourself kind of clicking into the character in your head? And
do you know that's a bad trait that I really, really have? If I met someone and they were talking to me with a deep voice, like, "Hello there, Gary, how are you getting on?" I'm like, "Oh, not too bad. How are you getting on?" And then if I met someone with, like, say it was Daniel and O'Donnell and me, "Oh, hello, Gary, how are you getting on?" I'm like, "Oh, Daniel, I'm good. How are you?" And if I met someone really high pitched, "Oh, hello, Gary, how are you getting on?" "Oh, how are you doing? That's the crack." You know, I fall into the character very quick.
Yeah.
I do that with
go
accents, to be fair. So like whenever I'm over in Ireland, obviously my family are Irish. When I'm over in Ireland and I come back, my friends over here are like, "What are you talking like that for?" But then when I go back over to Ireland, they're like, "Oh, I forget how English you do sound."
Yeah.
Oh, that's what happens. You know, you pick it up like that. So, and even in Scotland, when we go to Scotland, like, you know, there's this wee man I always chat to, and he's got this really strong Scottish dialect. Like, "It's cool enough for a snap. You want a wee drink, my dram?" And I was like, and I go round to the band, then going, "Hey, and they're like, "Oh my God."
I'd quite
Gary
like it for
Scott,
like complaints. You can put on the different voices when you're complaining for something and things like that, and get a bit authoritative with them.
Oh no, it's hilarious like that. And then when you get an audience, obviously, then you go to town on it, like, so.
Play it up.
And feedback off them, which is always really good.
I watched your Daniel O'Double there on YouTube. You have a concert on YouTube there. I was watching it, and I absolutely loved it. Even my younger brother came in, and he knows nothing about the country world or anything like this, and he was sitting there laughing his arse off at it. He thought it was the most funniest thing he's seen in a long time. But it's just funny when you walked into the room and you're instantly in character. You're singing the song as you walked in, and everyone's like turning around, and like, "Oh my God, is this actually Daniel walking in?" And like, do people generally think,
Funny thing, isn't it? It's
no
like
one told me Daniel's
it's a comedy sketch. It's comedy, but you're actually really good at it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people actually thinks it's him, you know.
Yeah. I see women walking up to you just to make sure. just looking up into your face.
Yeah. I was, where was that? I was in Spain, a Declan trip, and these people came over. I was like, oh, hello, Daniel, how are you getting on? I says, I met you in the Fiddler in Tenerife with Fergal. I'm like, oh, do they not know I'm not Daniel? And I had to tell them. And they're like,
Daniel's looking well, isn't he? Looking young.
But they didn't believe me. I was trying to say, I'm not Daniel. Like, oh, why are you saying that? Sure, you don't have to pretend around us. We know it's you. I was like, oh, God.
And what's Daniel's response to it?
Oh, he loves it, you know. He says to me, you sound more like Daniel than I am. No, he goes with it, like, has the crack with it. But then again, I don't take the piss out of him.
Yeah.
You know, I have the crack with it. I tell a few jokes and a few yarns, entertain the audience. Yeah. And I think Magella, was it, or someone says to me, one of his family members says, you're promoting Daniel more than yourself. So on some occasions when he hasn't been available, I've went along, you know, just wee charity events and stuff like that.
No wonder Daniel likes it.
You just tell them it wasn't Daniel, didn't you?
Hey,
Daniel's there performing when he's not performing. You know, you're doing it for him, so of course he loves it.
He says one of the last concerts we done, I was dressed as Daniel and I was wearing the wig. I think it was one of the last concerts, maybe a couple of concerts ago. And he says to me, keep that wig because I might need it someday. Because obviously I wear a wig for the Daniel thing. Like, so.
Oh, I do love Daniel. I think it's a known thing on the show now that I have a big crush on Daniel O'Donnell. And he's the one person who, obviously, around lots of singers and things like that for a long, long time. And he's the one person that I've never been able to stop and get a photo with because I have to leave the room when he comes.
Well, when he hears this now, he'll probably say, well, guess what? We'll make it happen.
Oh, maybe I wouldn't be able to control myself. I'm not somebody that gets starstruck. And he's definitely, I think it's just when you grow up, isn't it, with these people around you. And, you know, my nan would always have him on and my nan went to see him a few times. And, you know, she always loved things like his memory. He's got a memory like no one else. I forget my own name and I'm like, how do you know everyone?
Because I love the skit you have. You're naming everyone in the audience for about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's what I do, yeah.
Mary and Josephine.
I actually don't know their names. I know a lot of the fans and friends' names that come to the shows, but sometimes I do this thing, as Copper says, I just pretend you know I know everybody in the audience. I say, hello, Mary and Magella and Patricia and Annie and Copper and Jodie and hello, Patricia and Agnes. And no, I keep going and I'm going.
It's just so him.
Yeah,
I know.
So we're going to do a few fan questions because our inbox has been insane with people that want to say sort of hello. So I'm really sorry that we're not going to get through them all. But the lovely Anne Cannon, who I'm sure you know,
yes,
she's very, very excited to have you on here. So big hello to Anne.
Thank you, Anne.
Anne wants to know, what is the standout moment of your career so far?
Standout moment. It would probably be before the pandemic. We'd done a show in the second or second largest theatre in Northern Ireland called the Millennium Forum, and we got a standing ovation for a comedy show.
Oh, very cool.
And it was our third show. And we were supposed to do another 15, but then we couldn't because of the pandemic. So we just thought we were onto something. And then it's just kind of, we were just all on the high and ready to do the ones in March and May, and then bang, everything stopped. So that was a high, not just for me, but for everyone on the cast and the team, because it's months of rehearsals.
It's a big team.
And doing the same thing over. And with comedy, when you, like the first time you hear a joke, it's like we do a joke on the show, oh God, Barbara, I was in here last night and I seen this ghost in the cupboard and it jumped out and it said hocus pocus, and it's never mind the hocus, just pocus. So it's just like it's kind of like an old silly joke, but the first time we done it, we fell apart. And then the second time we do it, we're like, it's not as funny. And the third time and the fourth time, and you're rehearsing it and you're rehearsing it. And it's about after 2 months rehearsals, nothing's funny.
Yeah.
And then you go and do your first show and the people are just laughing their heads off and you're like, oh God, we forgot how funny this was. So, you know, to have that happening and then the standing ovation, it really makes it worthwhile.
Definitely,
Is there always a danger with comedy that people just aren't going to laugh? Have you had that moment where you've done a joke and there's just no response?
No, not really. No, I always see, because I was kind of lucky enough. I was always on stage anyway. So I was testing jokes for maybe 2 years with the audience.
Yeah.
And then I was taking them home and I was like, that works, that doesn't work. This works, that works. So I was putting them into the comedy show.
Yeah.
And I was trying new ones with the audience and saying, what was the jokes? I was just different wee jokes. I've all them written down on my phone, and I would say even I have stuff here at the moment. I was just test. I'll test a few jokes on you. Actually, this is what
I'm really bad at getting jokes. I always write in on your thing, going, I don't get this.
Sorry, I'll explain it to you, Joe. Don't worry about
it. You'll explain it, but this is all I do. I try to figure out which works and what doesn't work. And hold on now. Where did I write them? Jokes. No, that's not a good one. There's some naughty ones you see, so I don't know.
Asher, we're Folkin around,
Oh God. The man who wrote the Hokey Cokey has passed away. And we're like, it's this, there was a whole problem, obviously, at getting him into the coffin. They put his left leg in and his right leg out. And that there. And then I say, I used to be addicted to the Hokey Cokey, but I turned myself around. No, so these are silly jokes.
That's good.
But we have them.
They're so stupid that they're funny.
No, but it's about timing and everything. Yeah. But it's working good. Like we just test them with the audience, and then if you get a laugh, they're like, "Guess what? They love that, so we'll do that again."
Yeah. Do you ever worry you'll go too far sometimes, and you'll have I suppose you're not going to have a too conservative audience that's bought a ticket.
I did. One time I did. This is something really rude, but the audience was laughing, but. I don't know. They loved it anyway.
It's always when I go to these. I always hate when I would go to a comedy one when I used to go to things with my parents, and it would be like a really modern sexual joke or something. And my dad, bless him, he'd go, "What does that mean, Jodie? What did they say?" And I would go, "I didn't hear it, Dad. I didn't hear it. Just because you don't want to have to explain.
The one that I says recently was I was on stage and I says to like I would just go out of character and chat to Alice. Her character's Alice. Sinead McAteer, you call her. She's a lead actor, but I would just cut out of character. Go, Alice, what's the difference between light and hard? She'd be like, this isn't the script. I was like, you can sleep with the light on, but you can't sleep with it. And then I say nothing, but the audience is bust out laughing.
You kind of let them figure it out themselves. And it's like that one you have on the Daniel one. It's like, here's to those who wish me well. All the rest can go to hell.
Those I don't can go to hell.
And you said the next part yourself there. Is like,
here's to those who wish me luck.
And you leave it there.
There's loads of those. Here's to those who drink by the glass, and those who don't can kiss my.
I love that. I love that kind of stuff.
It's taking a turn.
Who would your comedy influences be? Because growing up, I watched a lot of Unbelievables and all that. Would they be influence on you at all?
Well, I kind of enjoyed Jimmy Young. I know these are really old characters. James Young was from Ballymena, and Northern Ireland comedy. I thought it was fantastic. Dick Emery, Ken Dodd. Who else would be watching? Kind of the old comedy sketches, right, I liked all that stuff. And not too keen on some of the modern kind of takes, these guys that do, I don't know, stand up is probably difficult, but I found myself going on stage and chatting for 45 minutes, jokes. And I'm like, oh my God, why do I always say it's hard or difficult when it just flows?
It's just natural to you, I suppose, yeah.
I had 45 minutes to film one night at an Irish World television event before it went live, and there was nobody on the stage. And he says, could you do something? I said, okay, even the mic. I was just on, and they were like, you have to come off now.
You're like, I'm just getting going.
Felt like 5 minutes to me,
So another question we've got from Helen O'Rourke. She wants to know, now we are filming this on Valentine's Day. It won't obviously be going out on Valentine's Day, but she wants to know, as it's Valentine's Day, what is your favourite chat up line?
Oh, some naughty ones. I have to watch.
I love how those on the audio, he lit off when we asked that.
Right. No, there's one about a washing machine, but I can't tell that. But if anybody wants to know it, they can message me. Let me think.
This is a bad time. I get the giggles sometimes when we're recording. It just goes off, and this is going to be
it. Loads. I think. Let me see. How would you like to wake up with your shirt on my bed and floor? I don't know. Cheesy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's cheesy. It's not the cheesiest, but
it's like saying, what would you like for breakfast or something like that?
Oh, yeah, I know. How do you like your eggs?
How do you like your eggs? Yeah, I've actually had that. Somebody's actually said that to me before. So a question from Molly down in Gorey. Obviously, you portray a lot of characters yourself, and there's a lot of people who are obviously fans of you as Gary Gamble.
Yeah.
Who would you like to play Gary Gamble in your life story?
That's a good one.
Oh, who would I like?
I love this question.
Shout out to Helen there.
Let me think. Daniel O'Donnell. Let me think. People were messaging me the last day about Daniel's got a new haircut. He says he looks more like you now. So he says, oh, maybe he can impersonate for a while.
He's impersonating you for a while, is he?
Oh, all right, enough. Does he have to be famous or like an actor or singer?
Well, she wasn't that precise with the question.
Well, let me think. You? What do you call? He's a fantastic actor. That Irish guy. It's Cillian Murphy. No, Cillian Murphy. Yeah, he'd be good at it probably. Yeah. He'd make me more macho. You see.
But he'd make a good pilot as well.
Oh yeah. Scare the shit out of everybody.
Did you ever actually go up and fly a plane after, or was it just something you were?
I've got 8 hours flying time lessons or whatever.
Wow.
Very cool.
I know.
I'd love to do it someday, but
I know. I had one time I had an outside broadcast in Donegal, Falcara, with Highland Radio, and I had to be in Scotland that night in Wick. But obviously the flights go early in the morning. The broadcast was from 1:30 to 3:30. And there was no flights. I wouldn't have made it to airport after the show. So we contacted a guy with a 2-seater airplane, a wee Katona plane, and asked him, could he fly me to Wick? And we got on the plane. I know. We got on the plane about 4:30 from Donegal, and we just arrived in Wick for about 7:30. The show started at 8. Oh. And everyone was standing outside, and all you hear was this wee hairdryer in the sky. I went down and landed in the airport, got a lift straight into the gig, got changed backstage. They had my clothes and all, and then onto the stage. So
had an entrance.
That was one of the bizarre things happened too.
Yeah. Who knew you were so rock and roll? Like, if you got somewhere I can park my helicopter.
That was crazy.
So another question. We've got Sarah Grant again. I'm sure you know Sarah.
Yeah.
She's been really enjoying concerts on the couch, obviously, during lockdown. Is that something that you think is going to continue when we're set free, or is there any sort of thoughts of what will happen with it after?
Well, we have that package deal for February gone now at the moment. Like it's not that it's sold out, but it's obviously past the 1st of February. But we have a new package for March with different singers: Philomena Begley, Robert Mazzell, Declan Ernie, and so many more local acts too as well that are coming in there. Elaine Boyle, Elaine's established. Like just local, we Keelan Brown, just young new wee singers, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, we had Keelan really on the show last week, and he was brilliant.
Yeah, come here. Hi, very, very good, and very witty as well, and on the ball stuff. You know,
that was the feedback we had when we put it out. They said that they thought, because he's such a strong, confident singer, everyone said, "Oh, we thought he was going to be a bit cocky or a bit arrogant, but he's actually dead good fun."
Yeah, nice guy,
darling.
Oh, that's your next character.
But no, the Concerts of the Couch is going really well. It's an online event, and we have over 200 people every Friday and Saturday night. We had, plus the fact what we're doing now is Celtic Storm is the band, resident band every week. So now we know that there's other people out there would love to have a concert. So Country Harmony was last night with their special guests. And then I just host the show. And then next month we have Celtic Storm, obviously, and then the Stephen Smith Band.
Yeah.
So we're giving everyone a turn now. You might know what I mean. So because we're trying to schedule some dates in for May for drive-in shows again in Scotland. And we're looking forward to that. So you never know, the Concerts of the Couch could probably still continue whilst we do the gigs with maybe another band. So
you're playing some driving gigs, you're saying?
All the drive-ins. We done a few drive-in last year, and the cars were like maybe 4 meters apart each. And people were sitting out beside the car, and obviously there was security there and PPE control, and you can't mix. And as soon as it's over, that's it. Everyone away home. There's no congregating or nothing like that. It's absolutely went fantastic, you know. And obviously you're wearing your masks if you're going to the toilet, which is porta cabins and not porta cabin, portaloos. And and you bring your own food, bring your own drink in the car. If you're driving, obviously don't drink. And it went very, very well. And we done it the first time. We probably had maybe 150 cars, and then we went back the second time, and it doubled. So
were you one of the ones that had tractors? I know I've seen some of them, and like the tractors were rolling up.
Oh, well, yeah, there was tractors at it too. I know.
Crazy.
Tractors and pickups and jeeps and caravans and motorhomes and cars. It was amazing. Right.
I mean, it's a great way of getting people out, isn't it, to the music and doing what we can at the moment.
It definitely is. I know one of the acts on the show was Philomena Bagley, and like Philomena is a legend. And, you know, she says in all her, she's been singing over 50 years. And she says all her time on the road, she never thought she was coming towards the end of her career or the end of her 70s, being on a stage with no dancing and people sitting in cars watching her. So I kind of felt sorry for her, you know, because she's at a stage now where she should have the big finale concert and get out there with a bang. And then obviously the pandemic's here, so it's not great for people as in her, you know, league, as they say.
I mean, Philly is an absolute legend. She went to school with my nan, actually. And always have lots of nice stories of her when she was younger. Always has been, bless her. So I think at this point we have a section that's called Copper's Corner. And I need to get him a pipe for it, because I feel like we need to sort of sit on the floor with him for his Copper's Corner. So I'll pass over to Copper for this.
I have kind of a list of random questions I'll like to ask everyone. But let me ask you this now. What was your first ever CD that you bought? Or record? Or
my first CD was...
Or cassette.
It was the Cranberries. No Need to Argue album.
Very good. That's a good one to start off on.
And it was from a company called Britannia.co.uk at that time, CD Britannia, BritanniaCD.co.uk. Yeah. And you get a leaflet every week.
Showing your age now, Gary.
And then the second album was it Shepherd Moons, because that was a subscription thing. And the third one was REM.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
I'm a big fan of
Shepherd Moons are by Enya. That's right.
Oh, Enya. Good stuff. Yeah.
So really, like, no country.
No. I'm the same. My own one's like Linkin Park, so it's
good. They're good.
This is where, like, I'm the oldest with everyone. I'm like, I had a Kylie Minogue cassette in the 80s, and everyone's like, I
got Kylie CD. I think it was in Manchester, 2004, at the MEN Arena. It was called Showgirl. That was the only one about Kylie. Yeah.
Oh no, mine was like the Kylie and Jason one from when they were neighbours.
Especially for you.
That's it. No, I loved that as a kid. That was my go-to.
Neighbours.
And tell me this as well: if we're having a karaoke night and I handed you the microphone, what would be the first song you'd pick?
Did you ever get a ride in the tractor?
I think
Did you ever get a feel? Did you ever get a feel? Did you ever get a feel of a fibre?
Or be like that song, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. That's not a good one you could do.
That's it. That's one.
And
oh God,
that's a good one. That's a good one. And tell me, if you had a nice, she's off.
Sorry, I'm good.
If you had a dinner party and you could invite 3 people from history, dead or alive, who would you pick and why?
Let me think. Shania Twain.
Okay.
Brian Call, God rest him. And who else? Probably Ken Dodd.
Oh, yeah.
That's some table.
Yeah, Shania Twain, because, I don't know, she just started from nothing and her story is really good, you know, start from nothing, and she just made her own, you know, empire, the Shania Twain empire, and she's extensively turned still to this day. She's looking amazing for 50 years of age, so she'll probably turn me. Who else then? Oh, Brian Call. Brian Call was always full of stories. He went to the grave with tons of information. And he just, when I used to sit with him, it was like, back in 1968, this happened. Back in 19... No, he knew everything and knew every detail. He met so many people and all those legends and singers. And then Ken Dodd, because obviously when I'd probably sit at the table with him, he'd crack a joke, I'd crack a joke, he'd crack a joke, I'd crack a joke. So he's very fast and witty. He has a joke too as well that, what was it? He says, I always knew I was going to be a comedian. When I was born, my dad says, "Is this a joke?" Silly stuff like that. And though it's the simple jokes that crack me up.
Yeah, it's a simple one sometimes. That's all you need.
Yeah.
I have to have them simple because I don't get them if they're too complicated. But if they're stupid, I'm there.
That's it. And obviously you're a very busy man. You're a director, you're a comedian, you're a singer, you've all these different, your fingers in different pies. But what's your passions outside of music, outside of video? Would you have any, I suppose, hobbies you could say?
Yeah, I'm always, see my imagination would go mad with when I start writing. I'm writing stories and comedy scripts. I've wrote a pilot now for a TV show, and we've submitted it at the moment, so we're waiting for word on that. And,
wasn't my idea that you stole, was it? I want a reality show and I want Gary to do it.
No, it's actually, it's totally off the wall comedy. I think it's missing from television. It's Irish humor. Like we're missing the Father Ted's type shows, and we're missing all those kind of Killing the Scully, and I think we need something like, obviously I think it's more like a comedy Glen Rowe, or
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that Glen Rowe, but
every evening before you had to go to school, Sunday evenings, it's a sign that you had to get ready for school the next morning, so that I always remember that.
But as it says, like, I'm always writing. If I hear something funny, I'm just in the phone. I'm writing it all the time. I heard something the last day for the stage, and I say to my character, obviously she's Alice, I'm Barbara. Hi, Alice, I heard there's two people bitching about everybody in the town. She says, I know. She says, who is it? She says, me and you. So it's just like, it's silly, but it works.
You realise that people are going to try and get that phone off you. They know that everything's going to be in that phone.
Everything's in it. I know.
Hope you have it backed up and all that. But when the world was good before, what was the last gig that you went to? You bought a ticket to go to someone that you wanted to see.
The last, that's very strange. Let me think. Jeez, where would it have been?
What is the gig?
The last gig, I think it must have been. Oh God, I can't think. I don't know. I haven't really been to many shows, to be honest. I was always working.
Yeah.
No, it must have been. What must have been Kylie in Belfast or something like that. Yeah, I think it was Kylie Minogue.
Oh, right.
When did you last do a gig of your own?
I don't remember her being on stage, to be honest. It was just one of those nights. Oh no, sorry, I know what it was. It was Dolly Parton.
Oh, cool.
Oh wow.
There was two people couldn't go, and we got tickets last minute. And I took my mom, and we went, and we were up right at the front. And as soon as she came on, I thought it was going to be this old woman with big boobs, and just sitting there playing the guitar, going, Jolene, Jolene. Hey, the show started, and there was lights everywhere in a band, and she just came out, dum 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 dum, her running and bouncing, and
absolute superstar.
I was like, oh my God, yeah, she, for her age, I was like, she never stopped the whole night.
Yeah.
From this side of the stage to that side of the stage, must have been 60 foot wide, and she kept hopping and dancing.
And was she as little as you think she's going to be?
It's very strange seeing her so close up in real life, everybody was kind of shocked, and people were actually crying because they're like, oh my God, that's really her. So that was it was a great experience, now I must say. We were like maybe 4 rows away.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll never forget, she was taking off her guitar, and the strap of the guitar caught her wig, and her wig came back to here, like there, and we were like, oh. The next minute she just kind of
somebody help Dolly.
The next minute then she kind of just went like that, and then she turned around, and then 2 people came on. I said, sorry about that, I had to get a little drink there, and then she took a drink, and then she started singing, but the strap caught her wig like.
And what colour was her hair underneath?
I know it was here. I don't know. I think it was just, maybe she doesn't have none. I'm not too sure. I think there's a photograph online with Dolly without a wig, but I think it was removed.
On Google now.
I think it might have been removed, but I think, did she say one time she had alopecia or maybe something where she was losing hair? And
I think she went through stress, didn't she, at one point? And she was losing clumps of hair because of the stress. And then I think it was something like she just said it's so much easier to have a wig collection than having to actually get up and do her hair in the morning.
And then she wears long sleeves, obviously, because she done some kind of like hurt to herself as well. And she was wearing, when the camera came really close to her skin, she had a ring on here. But then I was like, oh my God, her skin's flawless. But then we actually found out it was an Indian glove.
Wow.
So, her skin looks amazing from distance. But then when you see close-up photographs the next day in the paper, you're like, oh my God, that's actually a glove on her hand. Like, not a glove, it's like tights.
Yeah.
On her leg, but there's got diamonds on it, and then they've got a ring. So,
for sure, we're all a bit like that, aren't they? And people see you in real life, and they're like, "Oh, hello."
That's true.
I didn't mean you particularly, guys.
Oh no. When they see me in real life, they always say, God, you're taller and bigger in real life.
I get that all the time because I'm 6 foot tall. People always go,
are you?
I was expecting you to be really short. And it's just like this 6 foot blonde with big boobs walks out, and I'm like, hello,
Dolly
everyone.
Parton.
Yeah, I'd love to be a tall Dolly Parton tribute act if you need one ever.
And Gary, seeing as you're on a desert island there, I like to ask our guests, what desert island discs, say 3 CDs, that if you were marooned on an island, that you could listen to these 3 CDs for, days and days and days until you were rescued, what 3 discs would they be?
Let me think. Enya.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Definitely to take me away from reality.
Yeah, nice atmosphere.
Let me see. Then if I wanted to party then for maybe a day, Sophie Alex Bextor at the moment, I'm listening to some of her stuff.
Murder on the Dance Floor. And...
Fair play there. She done lockdown discos from her kitchen throughout the lockdown, and just her songs were kind of stuck in my head. And the real party tunes.
You sort of forget, don't you? It's sort of like lockdown. You see things popping up on Facebook. And you're like, I used to love that. I forgot about it. I liked them and things. Yeah.
Take Me Home and Murder on the Dance Floor, and they're so old and cheesy, but they're like, oh, give me a drink and I'm gonna go party. But maybe that's kind of a side of us that we're all missing the pubs and the nightclubs and partying.
We're just getting old. One of the two.
Yeah, and the third one would probably be the Cranberries, maybe, or something like that. Yeah.
Very nice.
It's not a bad place to be, just all by yourself.
I know, right enough, just chill out.
Yeah.
And I know what I was going to ask you there. You've been sharing a lot of, I've noticed, because I'm a vegan, I've noticed that you've been sharing a lot of vegan things. So is that something that you're passionate about, that you're following?
I tried it for a year and a half, maybe 2.5 years ago. And more passionate about it there since October last year, and total vegan now since. So
it's definitely, I always think that I wish that I could turn that. There was a switch in my head, I think, that just went probably about 15 years ago now. I haven't eaten anything like that, but I wish that I could do that, like for like drinking and everything, just so I can stop all of these things. No. But yeah, I always think that I'm probably the most unlikely person that people, when I say, oh no, I don't eat that meat, or I don't have that or anything, I'm like the only overweight vegan in the world, I think.
But this year I just totally just went off it, and I've been so strict with myself, and I've seen a lot of improvement of my health, my skin. I've got a glow about me. My cholesterol was always very high.
Yeah,
it just went back to normal, and the nurse was like, "What did you do? Your kidneys, your normal, liver's normal." Everything with your blood, thyroid gland, cholesterol. I was like, I stopped eating meat and stopped eating dairy. She says, well, whatever you've done, just keep doing it. So that was it. And I'm back running, back training again, back walking, and just getting out there. I'm going to walk a mountain tomorrow called Knockavo. So
wow, yeah, because I love seeing your little updates, your little ramble with Gamble.
Yeah, I don't put up as much as I used to, but maybe I should probably do that again.
Yeah, some beautiful sights, and it's nice to see when you're stuck at home and me stuck over in England because I can't get back to Ireland. It's quite nice to.
I miss England as well. I was over collecting a lady. There's a lady we know, and she wasn't well. My friend Vicky lives here. Her mum's called Mary Hollywood, and she was living on her own during lockdown. But we contacted the police and all, and we got permission to go and collect her and bring her to Ireland. So she's here in Ireland at the moment.
Oh, but you should have run me. You could have had her around here.
We went to Deneby near Doncaster, I think it was.
Okay, yeah.
And we collected her, and then we came back in the boat. And it was very eerie because the roads are so quiet, and the boat was empty. We were the only car, but the rest was kind of lorry drivers.
Yeah.
And we went to the restaurant. They were like, hey, we have food here if you want to take it with you. It was free. So it was really strange times. But
for the last question, Copper's Corner, Gary, do you have any ghost stories for us?
He wasn't expecting that.
How long have you got?
Oh, okay. You have a few.
Well, we love the ghost stories.
I used to live in a haunted house in Donegal, and I had to leave it because it got so bad.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Was it in your head, or was it really bad?
It was. At the time, I thought to myself, I'm cracking up. There's something going on here. And because of all the strange things, the entities, things moving, pictures falling off the wall, things floating, candles falling, press doors banging, a young boy seeing images and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Not images, seeing actual figures, dogs, men with no faces, black snakes, serpents.
Wow.
It was just terrible times.
There's a lot going on.
And
this wasn't after a night out or something, was it?
No, I was off the drink as well for a year and a half. The time that was all actually things were happening. And my friend Cara, I asked her to move in, but I never told her about the house. And she moved in, and then the things started to happen as well. And she started to cry because one night it was really, really bad things happened, like 6 things in a row. Hairdryer went on, thing fell, thing flew downstairs, and just lots of stuff was happening. She grabbed my arm and left a bruise, and she started to cry. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy because I'm sorry for Cara, but I was just over the moon that she actually started to witness what was happening in the house.
So you were not
and
crazy then, you had someone else.
Yeah, and I rang the priest, and the priest obviously came to the house, and he just told us, guess what? You're not crazy. These things happen. And he had to bless the house, and we had to get out.
Wow.
So I went to Australia to see my wee niece, Imogen, and my sister and brothers, and my sister's fiance, and my brother's girlfriend, and everyone over there, and my friends. And I left just things, I have a key for the house, and nobody else had a spare key because I just changed the locks because I kept thinking there's somebody trying to get into my house, or there's somebody in the house when I'm away.
Someone messing with you.
Changed the locks, went to Australia, and I had the scripts that I would have been writing in papers. Just things around the kitchen, like your Fairy Liquid bottles, Domestos, your Dettol sprays, your ornaments, your candles. And when I came back home, they were all as if someone just went threw them on, and pages were just as if they were through in the air. And the gas in my cooker was on, and I had to get the fire brigade and call them out. And I was so tired, and all I wanted to do was sleep. And about a week after that, I says, I'm getting out of here.
Wow.
I mean, that's somebody that sounds like they wanted you out, to be fair, didn't it?
Yes. And believe it or not, since that, I've been telling a few people. Now, I was told not to tell too many people by a few people down around that area because they says they might think you're smoking. No, I wasn't. I wasn't on no drugs, no drink. And I just said to myself, what the hell's going on? And Cara, she moved out of her room. She just left the room as if someone had died. And it was lying like that for maybe 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. She like a short story was, she walked into a closet and the light went off, and she walked out again and the light went on, and then she walked in again and went off. I walked out, went on. She called me in. She says, "Come here, can you come in here a minute?" Why? She says, "Watch this." She walked in, went off, walked out, went on. I said, maybe the switch goes under the floor and up the wall. She says, how the hell would wire a house like under the floor? It just goes up and you could see the track, obviously it goes up and out. So I says, go on, you walk in. And I walked in and the light bulb blew above us. And there was glass in my hair. So I went into my ensuite in the room I was in. It used to be an old barn and a garage years ago. The house was converted into a modern home. And I was good in, and there was like a small mirror above the sink. And I turned it on, and I was taking the glass out of my hair. And the next minute, that sink light bulb blew as well. Now, it had a cover on it. And I was like, 2 light bulbs. I was like, oh, maybe it's just because when one bulb goes, another bulb goes. I went downstairs.
You do start justifying things, don't you, in your head?
Yeah, I do that all the time. I went downstairs, and the same setup. It's just a bathroom, a mirror, and the light bulb there with the cover. And I just went in again, and the next one blew as well. And I says, let's get out of here. That was it.
Wow. It's easily the best
but that's
story
only
you've had
one,
so far anyway, Jenny Mac.
One minor story, no, there was things as well, really scary things that I don't want to talk about because when I talk about it, that thing, I don't give it a name, but that thing kind of would probably try and come about again,
Yeah,
So,
my nan used to say that. She used to say, if you talk about things too much, they follow you, or things can pass on to other people and things like that.
And I was told not to. When I used to come back home, something was shaking or moving or something. I couldn't get into the door. I went to get into the door one day, 5 o'clock during the day, sun split in the sky. And I was like, what the hell's behind my bedroom door? It was only open 3 inches and you couldn't make this stuff up. I was pushing my door and it's going, why can I not get into my bedroom? I was like, oh, damn. I used to hang my towel. When I got out of the shower, I hang my towel up over behind the door. And I would push the door. I was like, geez, I know what happened. My towel fell behind the hanger and it's now behind the door. So I put my hand in. I was on my knees. I put my hand around. I
just don't like the idea of you putting your hand around the door.
I was feeling for the towel, and I put my hand around, and I couldn't feel it. And the next minute, the door just fell in, and there was nothing behind the door, and the towel was hanging up in the hanger.
Wow!
And I just went in, and I just got my shoes. Or I was going for a run or a walk or something. Got my shoes, and was like, it's like as if someone's in the room watching you in a corner, but you get the way if someone's staring at you in the nightclub, maybe trying to chat you up, you can feel their eyes on you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it felt in the room. So I got my stuff and I just got out of there.
But then you should be writing a horror story. Forget about the comedy.
Well,
I feel like you could write
we have been contacted by a guy in Galway who wants to write a book on it. But we brought a few. We brought a few psychics to the house then, and a gentleman called Alan Browning and Jim Porter, good friends of mine, and they do dowsing from Scotland, and we brought them over and we put them up, and they came to visit the house. And as soon as they came to visit the house, they they were just in shock. And everything I told them, they were able to tell us, which was very weird. So there was about maybe 6 or 7 psychics came to the house one day, and they all sat in the living room, and they were like, "Oh, we'll get rid of this now. Don't be worrying," and all. And they were sitting there and like, "Oh, I'm sensing something here and I'm sensing something there." And I was like sitting here going, "Oh God," so I hope something just happens. So they all just get something, but nothing really happened. And then all of a sudden, the candle on the fireplace hit a girl called Lisa in the back of the head, like that. They all jumped up. They all ran out the door, and I was left there sitting myself.
Yeah.
They're the professionals.
I thought you were supposed to get rid of it. And they says to me, "You need a priest." That was it.
It's the other thing, isn't it? There's the bad side of it, and then there's the, you know, you feel safe and different things. We've had different stories, actually. That's been our best story, to be fair.
Yeah, but I was told, don't let it put you out of the house. No, it didn't. It's when you're living in the house, it doesn't happen every day. But it could happen maybe 4 or 5 days in a row, and then it might be nothing for a week.
Is it something that would like set it off? Like, did you find if there was something, you know, you watched a certain thing, you put a certain aftershave on, is it something it disliked?
We were talking to a fella who used to live in the house, and he had a Ouija board in it. And he also had to get like blessed or, you know, got rid of something.
He probably started it with his bloody Ouija board.
Yeah, you never know. And then we had so many stories. When I moved out, like the neighbours used to say to me, like, "We have something to tell you, but we don't want to tell you until you move out of the house." So when they told me when I moved out of the house, but that's for another time.
Yeah. I don't want to say that now. Well, hopefully we're not going to conjure anything by bringing this up at all today. But Jamie, Mac, that's probably one of the best stories we've had so far anyway. We're definitely sure. Glad I asked that.
Yeah, it was a bad time now. It nearly put me in the mental, to be honest. To be honest.
How long were you living in the house?
I survived. Hey?
How long were you living in the house?
I went in on, I think maybe it was about 4 years, maybe 4.5 years, maybe.
Right, yeah.
Oh, so you did well.
First, after about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, the first thing happened. I was hoovering upstairs, and the wee next door neighbour was in like the cubby hole, and he was a wee guy that just like the house was as it is own, and maybe you'd have to walk 150 steps to get to the house across like the field to my neighbour's house, Tracy. And I went over to her house. Oh, sorry. I was in the room and it was hoovering, and it was August, and the sun was splitting the sky, and I had the door open upstairs, and I looked in, and there was a wee guy in the closet looking at me, and I thought it was her son. I says, "Hey, you, get out, your mammy will be going mad." And I was still hoovering, he was still there looking and laughing at me, and I says, "Get out of there." And I went over and turned off the hoover and went back, and he wasn't there. I was like, "Oh my God, his mother's going to kill me because he's in my house and she's probably looking for him." So I went around the house, couldn't find him, went to open the front door, and the door was locked. I was like, "How did he get in here?" And I thought to myself, "Oh my God, there's somebody in my house." So I went out of the house. I went over the field to Tracy's. I said, "Tracy, your son's in my house." He says, "No, he's watching TV." He says, "How long is he there?" I was like, "Maybe an hour." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going mad." I said, "There's somebody in my house." She's like, "Oh," she said, "Her son wait there 1 month." She says, "I'll be back in a wee second." So she came over to my house. We searched the house and we couldn't see nobody. And then maybe a week later, it was always 0259 on my phone. Something would happen. You'd either hear a herd of cows coming up the stairs. You'd wake up and you're like, "Jesus, what's that?" 259. You would hear somebody banging your door. But this night I heard, "Mommy, Mommy." This wee boy was crying. And I thought to myself, I think told my mum as well. I said to myself, "My God, he's got out of his bed. He's sleepwalking, and he's at my door shouting in, 'Mommy.'" And I got up in bed and just went downstairs. And as I took every step downstairs, it was like stepping into freezing water.
Wow, yeah.
And the heat was on. And I was like, "Oh, there's something going on here." And then that was the start of it.
Oh, you've made me go all funny, Gary.
Oh, I know.
I tell you what, if I wake up and something's happening at 2:59 in the morning, I'm ringing you in the morning.
0259 every time.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my God. That was the best story we've had so far anyway. Thanks for that.
Oh God, that's not even half of it. So that's only the good stuff.
Save that for another time.
We could do a whole nother podcast just on ghost stories, couldn't we? Some of the ones we've had.
I'm still skeptical, even though I worked in a haunted house one time.
Well, my brother now, he says to me, he says, "You must have been off your head." He says he doesn't believe in that rubbish. I think then after maybe a while, he seen it taking its toll on me, and he started, to believe me. So, and then even my other brother, Darren, visited from Australia, and we never told him. We never told them because we didn't want them to worry halfway around the world. And he came back to surprise me, and he was taking my mum down to my house just to get my belongings because I was on air. And he didn't know nothing. And my mum will vouch for this as well. He was just driving to the house and he goes to my mum, says, I get an eerie feeling about Gary's house. So that was just something I was like, oh my God, did he really say that?
Just a feeling.
Yeah, he got the feeling. No, I never got the feeling at the start when I moved in, but obviously, see, when I moved out, I just couldn't wait to get away. So. Yeah.
So you would have made a great undertaker, clearly, you know, all these spirits around you. They'd be going, oh no, could you do me a bit different than that?
They still are. And because of that, you know, that house as well, I've met so many friends that are just kind of connected as well. And I've been to a few other houses and picked up on things, which was really strange because I think I learned my trade because I was in my own house.
Yeah.
When I go to someone else's house now, I don't know if you know the Sharon Rectory in Donegal, which is haunted.
No.
I didn't know about it, but I was invited to it and I was kind of running late and somebody says, maybe you should Google it and see what it's about. And I says, no, I don't want to know what it's about. So I walked in and I was standing and she says, like the lady of the house, are you picking up anything in here, Gary? And it's like, to be honest, I have a wild sore head and like, have you any paracetamol? I says, where's just your head? I says, like, it's usually sore here, but it's here. And she goes, can I tell you there was a woman shot where you're standing there? And I was like, what? I was like, oh my, and the program was on BBC a few weeks ago. And she says, do you get anything else at all? I says, well, what's wrong? We're up in that corner of your room. Like, she's called Lisa. You should interview her, Jodie. She is amazing. She'll tell you all the stories, all the ghost stories you want to hear. And I just pointed up and she says, are you sure nothing's on there? She says, no. She says, she rang me a week later. She says, did you hear? She says, what? The house went on fire. And I says, how? This was old electricals in the corner where I pointed. And she says, it just went on fire. Now, I'm not saying that I'm always spot on, but she says, you came in, you were in the house 5 minutes, you pointed out two things, and she says, and you just wanted to get out of there. Because I just felt like, you know, I know she's so welcoming, but she was like, I just felt like, I just don't know if I should stay a wee bit longer. Do you want tea?
Maybe the next Derek O'Cora or something, won't you?
The comedy version, Ghostbusters.
Well, he's kind of a comedy version anyway. But
come out wherever you are.
Oh, I'd pay to see that, to be fair. You've got a customer.
Oh, God, I know.
But that's I think that took a turn anyway, that question. So.
It did.
That's what I say is, how long have you got? I have so many stories from living there. And even Cara, my friend, if you ever want another interview, I'm sure she'll sit in with me and she doesn't like talking about it, to be honest, but you know, she says for me, she'll do anything. And because I was so happy that I knew then I wasn't going mad.
Yeah.
Oh,
bless. So yeah, I think that rounds up our episode in a bit of a turn. So
I'll sleep with the lights on now tonight.
I know, I'll just turn the lights off now.
Hope you haven't scared anyone too much, but thank you so much.
I'll be doing my wee I'll be like, oh, by the way, I'm chatting about Reiki. Are you level 3, is it?
Yes, a Reiki master.
Oh, you've done level 3, very good. Very good.
I can send you some distance Reiki.
Do send that, surely to God. No. And Copper, thank you very much as well for having me on. And Jodie, thank you too.
Thanks very much. Nice meeting you.
You've been a very, very good guest. And I'm sorry we didn't get through to everybody. And we did have some lovely messages come through. So I will send them on to Gary. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Gary, for coming on. It's been
no bother. I'm just going to go now into this water behind me for a swim before it gets any rougher. Yeah.
Make sure there's nothing dodgy around and, you know, it's going to pull you under.
Oh, God. That'll be my nightmare tonight.
If you're not online later or something, I'll be like, are you okay, Gary?
I know. Oh, everybody, don't worry. So many people were praying for me and worrying about me the time I was there. But thank God I was on the road a lot too as well.
I know. Good. Imagine doing lockdown there.
Oh, I've been... God forgive me. I don't know. I wouldn't been well. I wouldn't been probably here. God forgive me.
So
you'll have to take us. I'll have to come up and you'll have to take us next time I'm over there. Normally, it's the Abbey in Donegal, isn't it? That I normally go to. I think.
Yeah,
Abbey Hotel.
Oh, do you know what was so funny about it, Jodie? I got so fed up with what was happening in the house. I rang the landlord, and this is just a quick story. I rang him. I says, "Come here, can I talk to you?" Something. I says about the house. Oh, is it your dishwasher or your washing machine or something? I said, no, it's I says it's just something else. And I was like, I says, so I'll be there in 5 minutes. And he came down. He stood in the living room. He was like, no, right. What was it? What is it? Is there something? Is a leak or is it a window or is it a door? I was like, I says, there's something in this house. And he says to me, did you see the wee faker too? And I says, why did you not tell me about this house before I moved in? He says, because you wouldn't have moved in.
Sure, some people would though, wouldn't they? If you advertised it as that, like you could open it up as like a B&B or something. People would come and stay because like
definitely.
Copper would stay.
I
know
would.
for a fact.
I'd go up and say, hello,
Would you
lads.
stay?
Come out and say hello to me.
I know this year, I never told too many people about it, but I had a friend, Aidan, stayed one night in the spare room, and it was just in Letterkenny. He says, look, stay there. It's a spare room in there, and don't be, getting a taxi, €35 back home. He says, your car's in Letterkenny, get it tomorrow, because that's only 2 minutes in Letterkenny. And I stayed in the room, and about maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:59, same time, he came in. He says, hey, Gary, come here. I says, have you a set of rosary beads? I says, why? There's a man standing in the corner looking at me. And I says, oh, no, not him too as well. And then my mom would have stayed in the house and she would have seen nothing.
Yeah.
So, it's either you will see it or you won't see it.
Some people are more susceptible to seeing whatever it is, if there is. Yeah. It's just strange.
But anyway, we'll leave it there. We'll have the next interview on Halloween.
Exactly. I was just thinking,
we should do that, actually.
We save this episode till Halloween and put it out then.
Oh gosh, I'm not going to sleep tonight now.
I'm going to sage the house now.
I bet you weren't expecting this kind of interview.
I've actually got some new sage sticks. Actually, that's what I'm going to have to do now.
Do you want some? I'll send you some if you want.
Are they proper ones? Because I bought some.
the real McCoy.
I bought some off Amazon.
No, I'll send you the good ones.
Honestly, they're crap.
I'll send you the good ones.
That's it.
Bless
Thanks very much, Gary.
Thank you so much, Gary.
Not a bother.
We'll
Thank you,
again,
Copper.
hopefully.
Thank you, Jodie.
Yeah, thank you.
So that was our interview with Gary Gamble. That was some crack. Did you enjoy that, Joe?
I really, really did. I know we're not supposed to have favourites, and it's not to upset everyone because I love everybody that we've had on, but it was certainly probably my favourite one that we've done. Like my face was hurting at the end of it. I was laughing and smiling so much all the way through it. And I think we could have just carried it on for ages.
Yeah.
There was just so much we wanted more info on. And
especially that ghost story. I think he went on for about 20 minutes there with that. And I was, we're enthralled. You
love a ghost story. We'll have to do a Halloween special or something like that. Yeah. But no, it's just, I hope everyone enjoyed it as well. There's been, I've been inundated with messages of, can I have a sneak peek? When's it coming out and everything like that. So, and I know people have been messaging Gary as well. So huge thank you to Gary for coming on and spending a really good amount of time with us and getting all that info from him.
Yeah, and that was the first time ever speaking to him, and he's sound out. I chat to him anytime. He's great lad.
Yeah, he is. He's lovely.
Cool. So as we're on to our weekly segment, it was album of the week, but we've changed it now to our track of the week, I suppose we can call it. We're just going for one track. Tell the listeners, what did you suggest for me and the listeners to listen to last week? What track was it?
So I suggested the lovely Keelan Brown with Hello Darling, which I'm sure you'd listened to before, given that he was on our episode 2, I think he was on.
Episode 2, that's right, yeah. And definitely he did a smashing version of it. He has that real deep voice and that suits it perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a cracking version. And I think he's had fairly good success with it as well. And
he's definitely your style, isn't he?
Definitely, yeah. That kind of, that whole soulful country voice, even though he's only turned 18. So he has that 18. Low voice. Took me years to get that low voice. But,
you'll have to get some tips from him.
It's all the whiskey and cigarettes. That's what it was.
I'm sure it's not any of Keelan's fans listening.
He didn't get it that way. That's what
I was trying to make clear.
Good, yeah. But I suggested Shooter Jennings, Bound to Get Down.
Yeah.
Shooter's Waylon Jennings' son. But what did you think of it?
So yeah, I wasn't, I don't know how I'd never listened to anything of his before. Obviously, as you know, I'm a huge Waylon Jennings fan. But this wasn't what I was expecting at all. And I loved it. It was brilliant. I would play it anytime in the car. I'd have it on at home. It just makes you want to get up and dance and
jump around the place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really feel good. It's that real sort of 50s rock and roll vibe. And, you all know how much I love Elvis and things like that. And it's that sort of take on it. There's just so many different genres sort of mixed up into it.
Definitely, yeah.
I loved it.
It feels like you're in the honky tonk right in front of the band on the stage.
Yeah, I just literally wanted somebody to grab me and start spinning me around the dance floor. We needed Tina D. Parton back to do some dancing. That's what we needed.
But I'd recommend that whole album. It's a really, really good album as well.
Yeah.
And
I'm definitely going to check out more.
Do. He has a kind of that country style, but he also has like rock and roll as well, kind of influences and kind of mix and match, I suppose. But it's very good. The album, I listened to the album loads and loads of times as well. But I suppose, what track do you suggest for us to listen to this week?
So my suggestion for this week is a singer called Sam Hunt. I don't know if you've heard of Sam before.
Bell.
So Sam initially started off as a songwriter. So he was songwriter for my song last week with McIntyre. And the song I'm going to recommend for Sam is Take Your Time. I was debating between Take Your Time and Raised on It, but I chose Take Your Time because it was his first single. And it's quite interesting, without like telling you too much about it and things. It's quite interesting how it came to be. Obviously, as I say, he was a songwriter, and his songwriting style when a song came to him was he would pick up a dictaphone or sometimes just the audio in his phone and would talk into it, because, like lyrics, things like this. And when he took this song, Take Your Time, to a producer and said, this might be a song that I want to do myself, they really, really liked his talking voice equally as much as his singing voice.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually a really different style of country music in that the choruses are really country and really, really, really good. But the verses are actually, I don't want to say that they're a rap, but it's almost, because of the talking style of it, it makes it very, very different. And he's done it with a lot of his songs, but not as much as he did in that first song, Take Your Time. Have a listen.
From your description, I'm kind of picturing like a Lou Reed kind of talking style, but I'll listen to it and see what it's like.
No,
it's not like that at all, no.
It's so good, so good. All of his whole album that's on, I can't remember what it's called, is an incredible album. As I say, Raised on It is a really, really good song, but Take Your Time is the one that you have to listen to. But I'm convinced if you listen to it, you'll listen to the whole album.
Cool. All right, I'll check it out for sure. And what I suggest for you to listen to now is a guy called Whitey Morgan, and the 78s, guy in America, and he has a great song called Me and the Whiskey, which goes back to the whiskey I mentioned earlier. But it's a real kind of that outlaw vibe and stuff. I really, I'll say no more. Have a listen to it, and it's a real class lick and riff and stuff going on, the guitars, and it's a class song. I jam it out every now and again as well. Great song to sing.
Brilliant.
For now, I suppose we'll talk about our socials, if in case you want to follow us at all. So where can the lovely people find us, Jo?
So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, and we are at Folkin Around Podcast, and we are on Twitter, which is at Folkin Around Pod. You can also email us if you want to contact us directly, and our email address is folkinaroundpodcast@gmail.com. And where can the people at home find you, Copper?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and all those good places. Go to Copper Kelly Music, and you can also find me on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, whatever it's called nowadays. And just if you Google me, you'll find me, no problem. But where else can they find your own personal stuff, Jodie, in case you want to follow you?
So again, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, I am Welcome to Jodie Land. And on Twitter, I am at Welcome to Jodie. Not that I use it all that often.
But so tell the lovely people, who are we talking to next week?
So next week, very, very exciting. We've got our first ever American guest onto the podcast, an incredible country singer all the way from Nashville. And his name is Calvin Lee.
He's a cool dude. We were chatting to him not too long ago, and can't wait for you to hear this episode as well. But I suppose, do you have anything more to add?
No, just as always, thank you everyone for all your support and the lovely messages. We do get to them and we do read them. So keep sending them in and keep chatting to us.
Brilliant. And for anyone listening this far, obviously in the episode class, thanks very much. We'll talk to you. I will talk to you next week. But for now, bye, folkers.
Bye.